welcome back to California Cooking. This week, we're celebrating love. The love of food, our love of football, and the love between two chefs. It was love at first sight for chefs Hannah Ziskin and Aaron Lindell. They met in the kitchen, and fast forward 12 years, they're now getting married and have a neighborhood restaurant that's been nationally recognized. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Already having known you guys for all of 5 minutes, I see what's going on here, and you're the cutest.
Wait, what's going on here?
You are the most adorable. Not only are you partners in business, but in life too.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
How is that, having a restaurant, being together 12 years now?
I feel like it could have been a huge disaster,
Right, it could go either way.
but not to be schmaltzy, but I feel like we actually love each other even more now.
Oh.
We really vibe. We work well together.
Aaron, do you agree?
I agree. There's a shared vision here that's working and has worked actually before the restaurant existed. We work very well together.
You met working at a restaurant,
We did.
right?
Yeah.
In San Francisco?
12 years ago.
Okay.
Working at a restaurant called Gatonia in San Francisco. I was in pastry and Aaron was in savory. I think the
This
first
is
time
like a Hallmark movie
I know.
here.
I opened the walk-in door and he was in there, and that was it.
Yeah.
That's actually true. He's really good at making pasta.
Did that win you over? Yeah.
That was part of it, I guess.
Working together in San Francisco, what brought you guys then back to Southern California? Because you're originally
Yes,
from
I'm
here,
originally
right?
from here, and it just felt like time to, change, time to move, time to be a little warmer.
Yeah.
You need fewer jackets here. I've always had jacket problems. So
I
we
get
moved
it.
down here.
I love
Can't
jackets.
find the right jacket.
He's so good at jackets.
Well, you're a Michigan guy. You need lots
Yeah, you gotta layer up.
We moved back down here, and Aaron was working as a private chef. I was working as a pastry chef at a restaurant now shuttered sadly downtown called M. Georgina. And then 2020 happened, and then we started this pop-up.
For me personally, it was kind of like an all bets are off scenario. So that, I don't know, for me that made me feel like slightly, a little, let's be bold.
Let's
try
take a
something
risk.
crazy.
Okay, and when he said that, did Aaron say it first? Let's open a
No,
restaurant.
not exactly. But
Okay.
I got sent home essentially from that restaurant and sort of found a passion in home baking again and had to explore ways of getting my product to people who were also trapped at home.
Got it.
And so he started baking pizza
Yeah.
and sharing our very limited oven space. We're able to do both and combine those two pop-ups, my House of Gluten pop-up and his quarter sheets into one,
sort of
united.
a nice little package.
That's
we
right.
figured put it together.
So
it
this
just
is how
worked.
the dream was born.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you did that for how long?
A year and a half
and a
before
half.
we signed the lease here, and then we opened here in this space in Echo Park in
Yeah.
the very end of 2021. And when we moved in here, we opened. It was right away. We were really, warmly received by the neighborhood. People were really supportive. Folks who still come here now, who had been coming to our house in Glendale, kept coming. And then we had new folks coming in, people, living right up the block, coming down.
Amazing.
They all buy their birthday cakes for me, it's really nice.
You do the baked goods, and then quarter sheet refers to.
The size of the sheet tray that
Yeah.
I started baking in.
Okay.
And then that's the name of your pop-up, and then
You're
that
a
becomes the
literal
name of
guy,
your restaurant.
huh?
Yeah.
But you being from Michigan, I don't know that I've had a true Detroit style pizza. How would you describe a Detroit style pizza?
There are a couple of hallmarks.
Okay.
So you need to have your crispy cheese edge. It's gonna get baked in a square rectangular pan.
Not round.
It's not round. And then you're gonna cut that into squares. You should have a crispy fried kind of bottom. There's other kind of pizza nerd stuff, like sauce needs to go over the cheese.
Wait a
But
minute.
sometimes we mess around with that.
Cheese first, then sauce?
Yes.
Hannah,
Here we are.
here we are in your workshop.
This is where the magic happens.
Right? Cheesecake, people that love cheesecake, and there are many of us.
Yes.
But everybody has a different recipe, right? I mean, there's a million different ways you can do a cheesecake. How would you describe yours?
I'm just going to begin by saying that a lot of the times when we're conceptualizing desserts for quarter sheets, what we want is something that you can finish. I don't want a giant,
I see what
dense,
you're saying.
crazy dessert after
Something-
eating all this pizza that you can't stop eating. You're gonna eat it all.
Something that
Yeah.
you eat and you're not a few bites in and you're like, ugh.
Yes, I don't want any fatigue. I don't want any palate fatigue. I don't want any dessert fatigue.
I love that.
But I love cheesecake, okay? And I know that sometimes, New York style cheesecake can be really rich and really dense. And so when we were developing this cheesecake, we wanted to emulate those nostalgic flavors of a classic cheesecake and make it a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter. First thing we did was to take ricotta,
Okay.
which we have in-house because we're a pizza restaurant, and we're subbing that in for half of the cream cheese in the recipe.
Okay.
So
And it's lighter and airier.
it definitely is. And then to get that super smooth texture, we actually take that ricotta and process it in a food processor for fully 5 minutes. And then kind of proceed with making our cheesecake like normal. For this one, we use Meyer lemon juice and zest. We use vanilla bean paste along with eggs and sour cream. Always the filling.
This is the size I want at my house. Of your
It's gotta be.
Now, I'm noticing when I look at your beautiful crust, are you using the graham cracker? But there's something in there.
There is.
Some nuts.
So we make our graham crackers in-house because we like to make
wow.
everything very hard for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we make our graham crackers, we make them, we roll them, we bake them, and then we process them.
Okay.
And sometimes, not always, we'll use some toasted nuts in the base just to kind of dial up the savory nature. It's also pretty liberally seasoned. We use a lot of salt here in
Okay.
this pastry kitchen. We have the crust, it's fully baked out. We've made our cheesecake mixture. We're gonna pour the cheesecake batter onto the crust. We also line the pan with parchment so it's easy to pop out. And then we bake it in a water bath, which prevents the cream cheese custard from overcooking. Cooks really evenly and nicely for about an hour. When it comes out of the oven, we cool it down all the way and then top it with our yuzu curd. And then you can see
voila.
those beautiful layers. So you have the yuzu on top. And when a cheesecake bakes, it'll pull in from the side a little bit. So you see the curd kind of drips down and makes this beautiful outside layer.
And then on top.
Oh yeah. We love a self-referencing dessert.
Yeah.
So we put that Meyer lemon in the mixture.
Yeah.
And then we took the peels from our juiced Meyer lemons, the ones that we haven't zested, and candy those. Chop them into little pieces and put those right on top. And we always finish with some
Anna.
olive oil.
Oh, that is the prettiest cheesecake I've ever seen. I cannot
thanks.
wait. I'm so excited for a few reasons because pizza and cake is a dream come true. But I sat down and I noticed when I looked closer at the pizza, there's sesame seeds, crispy edges to this pizza.
It's a nice touch. Like I said, we like a sesame here. This
Me too.
this went on the menu. The sesame crust thing happened like a half a year ago, and then we just never let it go.
Tell me what we have here.
We'll start at the beginning with the plain cheese.
Okay.
Now, not so plain, depending on how you look at it. Sesame seed crust. We like a really fresh, vibrant tomato sauce here, so that's fighting with or a foil for all the cheesiness that is happening with the style of pizza. Again, built upside down. That nice bright sauce on the top.
It is that crispy, crunchy edge that is killer. I see a round pizza on the table, you
I
guys.
know,
What's happening?
I know.
This is like a cracker thin round pie. It's technically, the style is called bar pizza or bar pie. I would like to point out that there is no flop. And that is the again a hallmark
of that.
Really
this,
rad. Every time one of these pizzas comes out of the oven, they'll lift a slice up to do a flop
Come
check.
on, no flop over here. Okay, different experience.
Very different, right?
But so good. Yeah. Of course, your beautiful desserts. We've got your gorgeous cheesecake, lemony, light. You could totally eat that after a piece of pizza.
That's the goal.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
And then your princess
The princess cake,
Look at
that's
that
right.
beauty.
We did classic green today, although the color does change day to day. Really about, on a rainy day, we might do dark blue. A sunny day, maybe
so
a
pretty.
baby pink. And then we also offer on the weekends our slab cake. And this was the first cake that we started making out of the house by the slice. And it was meant to emulate the quarter sheet. So that's how I initially built it, in a quarter sheet.
Right.
And they're very large. This one is a polenta chiffon with salted maple custard and a fruity di bosco jam. So that's red currant, raspberry, and lingonberry.
Wow. Well, you guys are doing some incredible things here.
Thank you so much.
So lovely.
Thank you for coming to Quarter Sheets.
I am so happy I came today and I'm going to be back.
Great.
Pizza and cake. Coming up, for the love of football, a game day recipe inspired by Levi's love of crispy cheese, and a flatbread topped with all of the flavors of a chicken gyro. Perfect while watching the game. Levi's newest love, maybe even obsession, is crispy cheese. He will eat anything wrapped in it. So I decided to make a popular game day recipe wrapped in crispy cheese. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite game day foods are jalapeno poppers. So we're gonna try our hand at stuffing some jalapenos. I'm gonna do a little bit of a different twist on ours though. So I'm gonna bake them in the oven with the cream cheese filling, and then I'm gonna try something that I haven't seen done with a jalapeno popper, and that is wrap them in a crispy, crunchy cheddar cheese shell. This is Levi's idea. So in his honor, he's like, Mom, why can't I be there to do this with you? So he's at school today, but I'm doing this for him because he loves to melt the cheese in the pan and it gets all crispy and crunchy. And I thought that could be an interesting thing to do with our poppers. So first things first, I should be wearing gloves, but at least wash your hands right after doing this. You scoop out the seeds and the vein because that's where it's really spicy for all of your guests. You don't want to knock their socks off. So cut them in half. I leave the stem on so that way, at least leave the edge on because that way things don't kind of just ooze out. It's like a little boat and it'll hold everything. That's enough for now. And then for our filling, we've got Philadelphia cream cheese. If you can, let this come to room temperature for just a minute. To that, some garlic powder and a little bit of paprika. I could have left this out a little bit longer. And I guess if you needed to, you could pop it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. We've got our baking sheet. I've got some parchment. I've got the oven at 375. I've got a little offset spatula. You could just use a butter knife too. Take some of our mixture and you get it in there. Look at that, beautiful. Now this is the point normally where you would put the shredded cheddar cheese or Monterey Jack, but I'm gonna do something different with that cheddar cheese. All right, done. Pop these in the oven until the jalapenos get soft and the cream cheese gets bubbly. Time to make our crispy, crunchy cheese shells for our jalapeno poppers. So let me get the jalapenos out of the oven. They're nice and soft. The cream cheese has kind of bubbled and browned on top. So those are gonna sit there. I've got two nonstick. You definitely need a nonstick pan for this just to make your life a little easier. I've got shredded cheddar cheese, white cheddar, and about medium-high heat. This is for Levi. This is his favorite new thing to do. So you put just a little bit I'm gonna do 2 or 3 in this pan. See how many I can get. And they go pretty fast. So I've got my cutting board standing by. This is a waiting game. When it starts to get brown, you wanna flip it. Flip it for a second. This one's good. So you bring it over, and there's only a short time where they're pliable. Keep going. You can't stop. I did them all. That was fast and furious, but let's try one. And here's the thing, you could dip them in ranch, you can top them with tomatoes, sour cream, whatever you want, but just to try one. So what happens quickly is that becomes a very hard, cheesy shell. Spicy, creamy, and crunchy. Good job, Levi, good idea. Coming up, I love football, and my chicken gyro flatbread is what I'm making for the big game. That's coming up next. love a good football game, but what I love even more is snacking on all that game day food. Here's one more recipe to add to your Super Bowl spread. When thinking about food I want to eat for the Super Bowl, always wings, that's a given. But then just little kind of nibbles throughout the day, and I think anything that comes on a piece of bread or a pizza crust or something like that is always easy when you're watching the game. So these kind of naan or flatbreads you can find in the grocery store. So I'm gonna do kind of like a chicken gyro, which has the tzatziki and the lettuce and cucumber, red onion, chicken. I'm gonna make that, but on a flatbread kind of a thing. There's a few steps to this one. I got my chicken breast here, which I'm gonna season. Let's start with that. So let's do some garlic powder, coriander. It's very seasoned, this chicken. I actually made it last night. I gave it a test run, and the family approved. Paprika, smoked paprika I prefer, but regular's fine. Cumin, and then a little bit of cinnamon. Pepper, and some salt, and the chicken is good to go. Might even drizzle it with some olive oil just to get it so this sticks. So we can let that, you could even let that overnight marinate in all these flavors, which would be amazing. The next thing I'm gonna do is make a tzatziki, which is, usually it's Greek yogurt, sometimes sour cream people use. I think labneh is the best choice because it's so thick. It's thicker than Greek yogurt, but it still has the tang of Greek yogurt. I'm gonna put it in a big bowl, and then I've got an English cucumber or a Persian cucumber because they're less watery. And you're gonna get your good old box grater. And then you wanna drain as much as you can out, because that will just make your dressing watery. So cucumber goes in to our yogurt, a couple of cloves of garlic, chopped up, and then some lemon juice. 1 lemon should be good. A good pinch of salt. Fresh dill, which I think is a way better choice than dry dill in the cupboard. It's just so fragrant and so full of flavor that you just can't beat fresh. Next part of this recipe is the salad that goes on top. Romaine, and I know this is my favorite cheat at the store, is just when it's already washed and dried. So cut this really fine. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mention my Cleveland football sweatshirt. I'm gonna keep wearing it until it happens one day. When the Browns go to the Super Bowl. And now it's all those things that you'd maybe find on a gyro or a Greek salad. So I've got some of the pepperoncini. I'm gonna do some bell pepper rings, as thin as you can do it. I like the idea of rings because that's sometimes what you'd see in the salad. And then red onion, thin slices. You don't wanna bite into a big chunk of red onion. And some feta cheese. I like the block feta and then cut it into chunks. I just like it better than feta crumbles, but either way, lots of cheese. It's a Super Bowl party, okay. To our salad now, some cherry tomatoes, whatever tomatoes you've got. Just some olive oil, give it a little bit of a dressing, and some oregano, and some lemon juice. And then you're gonna mix that up, and that will be the topping for our gyro flatbread pizza. Maybe a pinch of salt. It has a lot of salty elements in here, so you don't need too much in the way of salt. Okay, perfect. So this is done, and now we're gonna go back and cook our chicken breasts. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get our flatbread into the oven. It's set at about 350. I want them to crisp up a little. Some olive oil, in they go. And then in our pan, we'll get it on a medium-high heat. Some olive oil. Our chicken's been marinating for a little bit. In go our chicken breasts. Okay, our chicken smells so good. Flipping it over. A few more minutes on that side. My flatbread nice and crispy. Just set that aside as we wait. Our chicken is done, and I let it rest for just maybe 10-15 minutes. And you want to cut it into bite-sized pieces. You don't want anything too big. The chicken is going to go back in there and soak up all of that yummy juice that's in there. To make our flatbread, you've got our tzatziki with our cucumber and our yogurt, and that will be the base. Take our chicken breast with all of those seasonings, the paprika, the garlic, the cumin, 2 chicken breasts, did all that. And then on top, we've got our gorgeous Greek kind of salad. This will be a messy but delicious. Our Gyro inspired flatbread is done. For all the recipes we featured in today's episode, follow us on Instagram at KTLA California Cooking. Well, that does it for us. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next time. What you making?
I'm making a crunchy cheese sandwich.
Crunchy cheese. That's all you do. You put cheese in the pan.
And then you
And
make
then
it
what?
crunchy, and then you put cucumbers on the, then you get bread, and then you put the crunchy cheese on the bread, and then you put cucumbers.
Deal. Deal, deal. Can I get a hug? Oh. My deal.